Is the fall weather making everybody slow down just a little bit? Well, it's around 9:15 and there were about 10 people here, so 5 minutes later we got it. Maggie, are you up for reading something? Maggie's going to read our quote today.
The things you need to do to perfect your skills and master your craft are not complicated or difficult, they just take practice.
So we talked a lot about habits and practice over the last few weeks. And so don't forget to practice. All right, who's got something they're grateful for? Go ahead.
Oh, I've got something for you all. It's kind of a backhanded gratefulness, sort of. I am extremely grateful for our relationship with Rudy Title. And none of you will understand until you say it's just a title company. And I'm not talking about them. If you think, oh, I'm going out of my area, I'm an hour out of my area, it's just a title company, how can they screw this up? Let me tell you, they can screw it up. I have just had to push a closing 3 days because a title company did not have their title search done in time. And when my client came in there yesterday afternoon, the day we were supposed to be closing, they conveyed to her that they basically did not have time for her and didn't care. So it's not just a title company. Every single time you walk into Rudy Title's office, they always care. They always put out there that they care. Even the relationships you have with Wagon Wheel, Magnolia, all these other ones, they're really great. Don't just say it's just a title company, because it's not. A young woman with an extremely high-risk pregnancy that's been under so much stress for the last 5 days, and I feel helpless and upset. And next time, I'm just going to make my clients drive an hour into town, which it means that much. Don't just say it's a title company, because they can screw everything up. That's all.
That's a good gratitude. Thank you. Thank you, Rudy. Really kind people. That's awesome. Anybody else? What's that?
It's cold.
Fall, cool weather. I love it. Congrats to all the folks who went to Ninja. There, anybody in here? I know a couple of them are out of town for fall break. We got one over here. Anybody else? 2. I think there were about 6 or 7 of us that were there. So, or of you all that were there. Great job. Congrats. On that note, any other gratitudes? What do you got?
Oh, I just had I had a very complicated closing that actually happened yesterday at Rudy Title, and it was an open house lead from 2015.
Wow, that was 4 years ago.
I've been working with them for 4 years.
Yeah, that's practice.
Remember?
That's incredible. Do you remember when the open house was?
It was on Highway 96, right by the Natchez Bridge.
Highway 96, right by the Natchez Bridge. Was your listing or somebody else's?
It was somebody else's.
Somebody else's listing. So you just went.
I stayed in touch with them.
Met some people at somebody else's listing and stayed in touch with them 4 years later. That's awesome. All right. Anybody want to help me read a couple things? Come on, officers. You got it. All right, I'm going to read the first paragraph, and then I'm going to hand the microphone to somebody unsuspecting. All right, so this is Mastery. So y'all read this in Ninja, but it's a good thing to reread every now and then. Mastery, this is by a guy named Stuart Embry. Mastery in one's career and consciousness growth simply requires that we constantly produce results beyond and out of the ordinary. Mastery is a product of consistently going beyond our limits. For most people, it starts with technical excellence in a chosen field and a commitment to that excellence. If you're willing to commit yourself to excellence, to surround yourself with things that represent this and miracles, your life will change. When we speak of miracles, we speak of events, experiences in the real world, which are beyond the ordinary. All right, Will, you're next.
It's remarkable how much mediocrity we live with, surrounding ourselves with daily reminders that the average is the acceptable. Our world suffers from terminal normality. Take a moment to assess all the things around you that promote your being average. These are the things that keep you powerless to go beyond a limit you arbitrarily set for yourself. The first step to mastery is the removal of everything in your environment that represents mediocrity. Removing those things that are limiting. One way is to surround yourself with friends who ask more of you than you do. Didn't some of your best teachers, coaches, parents, etc.?
Another step on the path to mastery is the removal of resentment toward masters. Develop compassion for yourself so that you can be in the presence of masters and grow from the experience. Rather than comparing yourself and resenting people who have mastery, remain open and receptive. Let the experience be like the planting of a seed within you that with nourishment will grow into your own individual mastery.
You see, we are all ordinary, but a master, rather than condemning himself for his ordinariness, will embrace and use it as a foundation for building the extraordinary. Rather than using it as an excuse for inactivity, he will use it as a vehicle for correcting, which is essential in the process of attaining mastery. You must be able to correct yourself without invalidating or condemning yourself, to accept results and improve upon them. Correct, don't protect. Correction is essential to power and mastery.
Yo, give him a round of applause for talking. Thank you. So nobody volunteers in a hanging microphone. That's not a very comfortable place to be, so thank you all for doing that. What were your takeaways? Just 30 seconds. What were your takeaways there?
Out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary? I didn't continue the slides going on, but we all have in front of you. Out of the ordinary? What else? Don't resent other people that are good, right? Learn from them.
Remove mediocrity.
Remove mediocrity and mediocrity.
Mediocrity.
Remove mediocrity. What else?
Surround yourself with successful people.
Surround yourself with successful people. Just what your mom and dad told you, right? That's a good reminder to read every now and then. All right, what's this number mean? Days left. That's right. There are 83 days left in 2019. All right, so a few quick questions just to take you into that. What is going to be your foundation for building the extraordinary? What? We'll get that back. I shouldn't move this thing around when I'm doing this. It'll come on in a second. How will you develop compassion for yourself so that you can be in the presence of masters and grow from that experience? Any tips from these? Any way y'all do this? What will you remove in your environment that represents mediocrity? Try not to remove people that are close to you that are like spouses, children. That doesn't work always that well, but think about that. What in your environment represents mediocrity? Who will you surround yourself with who has more of you than you do? Anybody? Any tennis players in here? Golf players? Who do you play with if you want to get better? Somebody better than you, right? Surround yourself like that. With people like that. So just something to ponder upon. All right, news. We got some education coming up. We have a V-Talk today. Miss Colin Wainwright is going to talk about how to not get sued. E&O claims. I know that sounds like something spooky, but the exciting part is that if you get sued, so do I, or so does Tyler, or so does Lee, so does Angela. So that is exciting there for a moment. So please don't get sued. But we do have this thing called errors and omissions insurance, but it doesn't cover everything, right? Is there anything you want to talk about, or just wait? Just have to wait and see. We get a lot of good stuff. So it is it'll be an informative class. So please come. Drew Shannon, you have a broker open in 12 South. Is Drew here? All right. So I think this is the one maybe that she wasn't going to feed people, and now she is going to feed people. So she's not here to say otherwise. So hopefully it's real. So 12 South broker open. Look in your shared calendar, and you can see that. Where that is. Transaction Desk Basic and Advanced class, these are at TAR, correct?
Yes.
Those are at TAR on Thursday. We have a Pitfalls of the Purchase and Sale Agreement next week, and then we have a Franklin Sales Meeting, Collaborative, and Pro Bowl as well. And the Jumpstart starts on Thursday of next week, so get ready for that. We're navigating somewhere here. Tyler, you want to come up for a second?
Yeah, yes,
I guess they were saying the Purchase and Sale Agreements.
Oh, sorry.
Good morning. Yeah, please come to the V-Talk because I don't want to get sued. All right, two announcements. First one is a reminder for the Village East Book Club coming up on October 17th from 1 to 3 at the East office. We are reading Never Split the Difference. Has anyone ever read this book before? What did you think of it? Good?
Thumbs up, thumbs down, spicy.
Spicy? It is pretty unconventional. If you haven't read it, The guy who used to be one of the top FBI hostage negotiators in the world. So it's fascinating because in a hostage situation you can't split the difference, right? Someone's going to die if you split the difference. So that's the title of the book. So that's coming up. So join us, read the book, and we should hopefully have some good discussion on that. And then this year I'm the chair of the Public Education Committee for Greater Nashville Realtors, and our committee is doing a seven secrets this Thursday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So just an hour, but it's called Get Schooled on Schools. So we have a panel from the STEAM Science program. We've got the Advanced Academies, the Director of Career Academies, so Metro Nashville Public Schools. So if you ever have any questions about what happens in Metro schools, this is going to be a great opportunity to hear from 4 people who are in it every day. And I'm going to be moderating, so I get to ask them all kinds of great questions. And then we're going to have some time at the end for questions from the audience. So come join us. It's free. All you got to do is email Donna at Greater Nashville Realtors or just log into your account and sign up. And come join us.
All right, so next. So this is actually kind of a fun photo. Oh, almost spilled my coffee. This was taken, I don't know, 15 years ago, like about 20 feet down there. Hunter's just a babe.
Zach loves it because he took it. He already says that. I love the photo. All right, so who knows what 90% of millionaires in the U.S. have in common? They have a net worth over $1 million. True. That's 100%. 90% got there by buying and owning real estate. How cool is that? Like, we get to work in an industry where we can really make a difference in people's life and see opportunities ourselves where we can invest as well. Now, I'd much rather be in our industry than other ones like finance or financial planning. I mean, just to have the opportunity to help with a personal story. I knew the only person who had talked to me about money growing up was my uncle. And like my dad wouldn't talk about it. He was an accountant, and he worked like really hard. Like I wouldn't see him much from like January to April 15th, just because working crazy hours. Had an uncle who owned real estate, and wasn't overly stressed. Didn't work crazy hours like my dad did, and was doing really well. So I was like, that is what I want to do. Like when I grow up, to get into real estate. So. Anyway, I just thought it was a good idea to remind ourselves like why we're doing what we're doing, and some reasons why it's such a good investment. So I came across this. Marcelo, he's a founder and owner of a day trading company. So all he does is stocks and bonds, and he loves real estate. Just the inherent demand, like no matter what business you're in, you're gonna need some land. They're not making any more of it, so you've always got that working for you. Robert Martinez loves the consistent returns you get with real estate. Populations almost never decrease, especially in the U.S. in good environments. So Daniel Lesniak, he's founder of Orange Line Living. He loves the flexibility. I thought this was interesting. You can buy a house with the intent of flipping it and then rent it if the market turns south. Or you can buy a rental, and if it appreciates significantly, you can sell it. You can refinance real estate, you can rehab it, you can get it rezoned. So unlike stocks and bonds where you're kind of completely dependent on factors outside your control, you've got a lot of flexibility with real estate. So that'd be a good thing to pass on to clients. Dottie Herman, she's the CEO of Douglas Elliman, big real estate brokerage, loves doesn't tie up all your cash. If you want to control $100,000 worth of real estate, you can put, $10,000 down or $20,000 down, sometimes even less. And if you want to control $100,000 worth of a stock or a bond, you need $100,000. So it doesn't take up as much cash. Tax benefits. I heard one big investor say it over time. Our tax code is basically written by real estate investors, which explains our tax code is complex, right? It's like thousands of pages, and there's a lot of advantages to owning real estate. So keep that in mind. A couple more. Peter Hernandez loves to, where else can you get a fixed rate for 30 years? And then the queen, Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank, talks about just how she's been able to incrementally grow from small to large. So she scraped together a few bucks, needed to live somewhere anyway, bought a little studio. It doubled in value, gave her enough money to plump down on a 1-bedroom, and then, you know the rest of the story. So anyway, I thought those are all good, like just refreshers, like when you're talking to your clients, and they're trying to decide whether this real estate purchase is a good idea. We'll have some good feedback. We won't spend much time on this. We talked about real estate last week, but it was a pretty big week in the markets. The market went down like 800 points in the middle of last week. And so here's one headline. I think they got that reversed. I think impeachment's probably likely, and then a recession is probably a maybe. But car sales, you see these headlines that are kind of alarming. The collapse might finally be here. Car sales were reported down for a number of car makers last week. And like I said, the Dow dropped more than 800 points in 2 days. So kind of the red flags were the stock market down, worst start to a quarter since 2016. That was based on a couple of economic data that came out showing that the U.S. services sector grew at the slowest clip since 2016. And then the September manufacturing data came out, and it was the worst in about 10 years. So that was kind of alarming. Oh, and then there's a survey found that optimism among CFOs was at a 3-year low. There was a little bit of good news last week. The economy added jobs at a steady rate. Unemployment still near multi-decade lows, and the Fed showed some signs that later this month they may lower interest rates to stimulate growth. So, anyway, what most economists agree on is that if there's a recession soon, it's probably not going to be as bad as 2008. It'll probably happen at some point. They're going to have recessions. We've got to be prepared for it. Just the question is when. Moving on. Anybody know who that is? Adam Newman. Let's talk a little WeWork. That happened over the last few weeks. This is kind of an interesting story. He is a super interesting guy. He grew up in Israel, severely dyslexic, couldn't read until like 3rd grade, made it through school, went to the equivalent of the Naval Academy except in Israel, was in the Israeli military for 5 years, moves to U.S., where he, quote, hit on every girl in the city and started failed businesses around collapsible women's high heel shoes and baby clothes company that had built-in knee pads called Crawlers. So I think the slogan was like, just because they can't talk doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Have you ever gotten that? Like, have you ever crawled around with a kid on the ground and you're just like, how do these babies do this? Like, this hurts. You know?
Did he have a kid?
He had not a kid.
Not a woman, nor did he have a kid.
Not a woman, nor did he have a kid. So he, a few years ago, comes up with the WeWork concept. Marries Gwyneth Paltrow's cousin, becomes like a cult figure, hard-charging, partying CEO. Well, he had to step down a couple of weeks ago for all of this. It kind of imploded on him. You know, in like people get bad news about someone in the paper, and they always like put the worst picture. All right, back to pretty Adam. So basically, had to step down because 2 conflicts of interest and kind of his hard partying ways came out, which is interesting because like this was all pretty well known throughout like investors and but the conflicts of interest. He so runs this company, right? WeWork's going public. They're about to have like a $49 billion valuation, and it turns out he owns personally some of the buildings that WeWork is leasing from them. So it's kind of like you're like taking from one and giving to himself. He also he borrowed $362 million from the company to exercise some stock options, and he had also borrowed a $500 million credit line secured by his shares. So, he also, this is the most brazen thing he did. So they're transforming the name of the company from WeWork to just We, because they want to get into other things besides working. They want to have apartments, things like that. Well, he basically owns the trademark We, and he's going to license it back to WeWork, the company, for $5.9 million a year. So anyway. Also, in 2018, just kind of back to his hard partying ways, he had a lawsuit filed against him for that identified within the company, not necessarily personally, but within the company, sexual harassment, other inappropriate behaviors in the workplace. In this woman's statement, she had mentioned that Newman had given her tequila shots during her interview, and WeWork was forced to change their drinking policy at work and put an end to the unlimited beer and change that to only 4 beers per day at the office. Also, the Wall Street Journal came out and with an article saying that in 2018, Newman chartered a Gulfstream jet, flies from the U.S. to Israel with a bunch of friends. They spend the whole time, or most of the time on the flight, smoking marijuana. The flight lands and the captain and crew finds a cereal box stuffed with the marijuana that they didn't smoke for the way back. And so the owner of the Gulfstream is like, no, like we're going to get drug charges in Israel. It's not good to be caught with boxes of marijuana in the cockpit. So the owner of the jet says, get the plane back to the U.S. And so Newman had to find like another way to get back home because the jet was gone. But anyway, all this stuff was kind of already known in the market. So kind of back up what happened. So WeWork basically rents large quantities of space and from other building owners. So buildings downtown, we have a couple here in Nashville, but in New York they're very prevalent. So they go to a building owner and say, we want to lease 20,000 square feet or the whole building. And then they go and they sublease small amounts to other businesses, an individual. So it's a pretty simple business. They currently lose about $1.6 billion per year on revenues of $1.8 billion. They're planning to go public, like I said, for $47 billion, which is about 26 times revenue. So very frothy valuation. Most real estate companies trade somewhere between 1 and 2 times revenue. So they're at 26 times. Like, what's the deal? Well, they have been claiming that they're not really a real estate company, they're a tech company. Technology appears 110 times in their prospectus they're putting out. And why would they want to do that? Basically, these technology companies are really much easier to scale than real estate companies, right? So if Google or Facebook needs to grow, they just buy a few more servers, and they can just layer a very small amount of costs and get a lot more revenue. Real estate companies, you want to go out and like double in size, you gotta plop down money, lease long term. So it's really a much higher capital intensive business than a technology company. Incidentally, there's another company that is claiming, it's a real estate company, claiming to be a technology company, burning through lots of cash, has the same investors that WeWork has, and so that's Compass. So that's just say it. So valuation-wise, we kind of touched on that. Like I said, it's a pretty simple business. There's another company out there that does exactly what WeWork does. It's called International Workplace Group, IWG. And so they own brands like Regus, you've probably heard of Spaces, HQ. They do exactly the same thing. So they have, this is the 1 million square feet. So WeWork has 45 million, IWG has 57. The revenue, IWG has a lot more.
IWG is a current public company with a $3.7 billion valuation versus WeWork's proposed $47 billion valuation. Again, which one would you rather own? The lease obligations, WeWork has $34 billion versus $7 billion. They have it spread out over many more cities, and WeWork's had to sign really long-term leases. So if there's ever like a correction or a recession, having a long-term obligation like that isn't ideal. Also, keep in mind several other IPOs that have gone out. We've talked about recently, but unprofitable IPOs have not been well received in the market. Uber, SmileDirect, Peloton. Who gets dog food from Chewy besides me? High-end designer dog food. So WeWork's officially withdrawing their plans. The problem is they had $2.5 billion in cash, but they're blowing through $700 million per quarter. That's kind of why this matters, right? So they're going to be out of money in 2020, first quarter, just around the corner, if they don't get more funding. So they really weren't going for public for any other reason except they needed to. They needed this valuation to raise a bunch of money. So in the span of the last couple of weeks, the market basically said no more going public at $47 billion. They tried to even go public and couldn't even get it done at $15 billion. And so now, in essence, they're about a $10 billion company in need of a bailout. They need to find some alternative funding. Where it could affect us is just office rental rates and things like that. There's a lot of buildings that have been built with WeWork as the anchor tenant. And so how that could ripple through the market is worth knowing about. They're going to cut thousands of jobs, ditch unnecessary business units. Like I said, they've started growing into the residential space, and they're going to sell their $600 million plane. And a book's coming out on with a lot of the colorful stories that we just touched on. Remember Theranos, the Elizabeth Holmes, that story? That book was pretty cool. So how does this relate to us? One thing that's kind of interesting, the markets exercise pretty good discipline, and this thing was like moving towards an IPO date really quickly. And for it to step back and say like, hey, this valuation doesn't make any sense for the type of company that you are, I think it's pretty good. Unlike other bubbles, remember the 2000, or some of you remember the 2000 tech bubble and the credit crash in 08, where just people just kept doing things that really didn't make business sense, and then once a company is public, then this company could end up in your retirement plan and a mutual fund, and everyone gets hurt more. So the other thing is just recognize it feels like the financial world over the last 6 months has changed from kind of a pro-risk, pro-growth to something a little more cautious and conservative. That's just kind of a feeling that I've got. And then think about any areas in our local market where this could be happening, with that being the case. So with the market kind of getting a little more cautious, one thing I know is that a lot of apartment buildings are getting financed as Airbnbs. So how's that going to affect hotel market or Airbnb investors? Just kind of be aware of that's going on. And the media doesn't always focus on the real story. Like I said, all this stuff about Adam Neumann was out there in the public. The valuation WeWork was going for, but everyone just kind of wanted to roll along with it as long as they were going to be able to cash out the $47 billion valuation. They didn't want to blow up what was going on. And as soon as that wasn't a possibility for him, he was out the door. So anyway, thought that was all interesting. We're next.
That's brilliant stuff. That's cool. All right, how's the market? What are y'all seeing out there? Who wrote an offer this week? Got an offer, wrote an offer? Everybody get a contract? Handful of y'all? Who has had a multiple offer this month? 2, 3, 4 people? 5? All right. Anybody know where rates are? Did rates go up or down? What do you think? Since last week? Flat, same. A little bit down. 3.875 down to 3.75 for both the 5-1 arm and the 30-year fixed, and then the 15-year is 3.25. So these are really easy to remember, right? 3.25 and 3.75. So they've been going down the last 4 weeks, just a little bit. Well, by a quarter point. That's actually more than a little bit. I mean, 4 week change is pretty good. Again, the last few years, where was our peak? This time last year. Bingo. And then, so we are at the, not quite as low as we were back in 2017, but we're getting down there. So, you got buyers, get on it. If you want to look at these are going to be on the market as soon as we get out of the meeting. Caitlin's putting them up right now. So, Wilson County, average sales price was $350 this is for September. That's up 7% from the same month the previous year. Some other interesting stats. Inventory is up by 10%, but total properties sold is up by 13%. So just more activity in Wilson County. In Williamson County, again, Wilson average price is $350. Williamson average price is $567. That's down about 1%, so call it even from the same month last year. Inventory is even, but closings are up 9%.
Days on the market was up almost 80%, and in Wilson County it was up like 60%.
Yeah, days on market. So days on market is up. This is month over month. So you go ahead.
So if you took like Williamson County and you did this every month for a year over every month for last year, do you think that August and July will be higher closing months because of people wanting to get into schools and stuff, or does that even?
Yeah, usually the highest in most markets around here, the highest new listings is typically April, May, June, and the highest closings is typically May, June, July, sometimes August. So it's usually the peak out. So you've got Davidson County, $363 average sales price. Inventory is down by 14%. Closings are up by 13%. So kind of interesting. September, just big changes from September of last year. But if you want to look more at that, then you can do that on VRES-market.com. You can download those. You can also send them out as postcards to your clients and post them on social media. So they'll be in there in square format and rectangular format. All right, anybody ever been to ChandlerReports.com? It's just a local, I don't really know much about it, but it's a local guy or gal that does some reporting. So I pulled, you got this, I mean, page 2 and 3, or I think page 2 and 3 of your little handout here. So take a look at that for a second. This is Davidson County. So this shows you 2018, the total number of sales, and then the percent of those sales relative to each other. So you can see the biggest, as an example, the biggest chunk, the price range of the biggest number of sales was what? 200 to 250, right? That had 18% of the market. 18% of the total number of closings were in that range. In 2019, it was same thing, the same, but it's a little bit higher. 250 to 299 was the biggest one. So a couple of questions. If you look at that, what was the most? I guess we just talked about which had the most highest percentage of closings in 2019. It was 250 to 299, right? No, it was 832 closings. Which is crazy to think about. It's like, well, we think that price range doesn't exist that much. But yet, in Davidson County, there were 832 closings in the third quarter of 2019. Pretty impressive. So, if you look at this drop-off, or this number of sales, right? So you've got, forget about the 0 to 100,000 for a minute. But you've got 625, 8, 12, 832, 608, 442, 291, 209, 158, 111. Is there anywhere where it just kind of starts to drop off pretty significantly? Maybe between 450, the 400 to 450 and 450 to 500? I would say that's probably the same. Same thing from 172 down to 98. So 2018 to 2019, that 450 to 499 range, and then 500 to 549, there's a pretty significant drop off. So that just means there's a lot of stuff People are trying to stay under that $500,000 mark. If you any biggest percent change, so if you look at this percent change in sales, 123% down here. Now that's not a ton of data, that's only 13 to 29, but it almost doubled. Why are they calling that 100? Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, 123% change. So the 950 to 999 range. There's a lot of people trying to stay under $1 million. It's interesting how those big kind of numbers make a difference in people's minds, and so that's sellers pricing things that way, and then buyers pricing, buying things that way.
But Zach, then the midpoint too, got 61.22, so they almost doubled.
Yeah, the midpoint gets 61.22% right here at 500 to 549. So a lot of people that were hoping to stay under 500, and they just said, whatever, we'll go over. So if you go to Williamson County, similar stuff here. So if you look at the highest percentage, what we were just talking about, it's actually a little bit lower than Davidson. So the highest percentage increase from 24 to 50 closings was from 850 to 899. But the highest total number of closings, where was that in Williamson County? In 2019, the most closings. So there were 208 sales in 2019 right here, from 450 to 499. So it ramps up to that, and then it starts ramping down. So that's the sweet spot. That's where most of the activity is. And then you start going down to 150, 147, 125, 117, and then it kind of cuts in half almost. Between 650 and 700, and then 700 and 750, things start falling off. Kind of interesting. So if you've got I guess what that can mean is if you've got a sale, if you've got a property from 117 down to 69, if you've got a property that is priced, you're thinking about pricing it at 725 in this range, you might consider trying to get under that 700 mark. There's a lot more activity there. Does that make sense? That's a way to look at that. So feel free to share this. I'm going to send an email out with it as well, so you can look at it. All right, quick tools. Does anybody know how to do reports on showings.com? I know Maggie does, because she shared something on the, didn't you share something on the Facebook page a while back? So, all right, so to do this, if you go to showings.com, if you haven't logged into showings.com ever, please do it. You can get a lot of interesting stuff. You can manage your listings, etc. So if you click over here, click reports right here. And then down here it says market statistics. If I zoom in here, that's what it is. Market statistics. Yours may not show all of these, just because I have some office stuff in there too. But when you click on that, this is what you get. And it's kind of a clunky system, but it gives you some interesting data. So you can plug in, and there's a couple different reports down here. There's market showing report and current trend report. I'll show you what those are. But basically, I'm just zooming in here. You can set, low price of $195 to $445. You can do price increments of $20,000. When you see the reports, these will make sense. You can do dates, from. So if you wanted to see, hey, I've been in the market 3 months and I'm not getting any showings, right? I want to see if other homes are getting showings. What do you think CSS represents in the market? How many, what percentage of the homes that you show? How many do you dial 3270101? 40, 50, 60%? You hear some of those? I would say, at least half the market. And somebody told me the other day that showing time and CSS are merging. Okay. So then there will be even more than the market. So you can do zip codes, you can do areas. I like to do zip codes. And so if you do, let's say I did a zip code, I did from 600 to 800,000 and 37212. I just went the whole year. So this is the market showing report. And so what it does, sort of like this channel report, it breaks it down into those $20,000 increments, or whatever increments you want. And it says, between 600 and 620, there were 72 showings during that time period. The monthly average was 7.8, the weekly average was 1.8. The number of showings per listing in that price range, per CSS listing, were 14.4. That's kind of interesting. How many showings should we expect to get before we get a contract? Well, let's see. Your price between 7 and 720. I don't know. There were an average of 22 showings for every listing on that before it got under contract. Well, how many per week should we get? Let's see here. Probably 4. If we're only getting 2 per week, then maybe something's not right. If we're getting 10 per week, then maybe something's really right. So the market trend report does it, but it breaks it down. Actually, this is just a zoomed in version of that. I should have shown you that. The market trend report breaks it down into weeks. So it goes from end of July to August 1st, and it shows how many showings in each price range. Now, what it doesn't take into consideration is this might be 0, but there might be no listings in that price range for that time. So you can just look on RealTracs and double check that. But it's kind of interesting to say, hey, I haven't been getting that many showings in the last couple weeks. Well, it went down this week. It was, or maybe it went up. It was 8, 16, 20, 19, 26, 19. When did it slow down? It slowed down at the end of August. But then we had a big spike the week before that, and then it was really slow. A lot of people come in and they say, hey, my listing isn't selling, what can I do? And so I'll point to them to at least look at the data to see if you're in line with the market. So, quick way to do that. All right. Brian, Sydney, all here? Yep. Come on up. So Brian's going to talk to you a little bit about Broadwest and what that is.
So I think most of you are aware of Broadwest, project that here's a video about Broadwest. A few seconds. So I'm not going to take too much time talking about the project. If you guys want to know more details about it, come find me or Zach or Sid after the sales meeting. We'd be happy to share all the details. Really what we want to kind of go through today, and Zach, I guess we'll pull up a slide in a minute, is we're putting together a social media marketing campaign that we're want to activate all of the village agents, kind of give you guys a first chance to push out the information to your sphere of influence and on a weekly basis. And so we've kind of developed a plan with our friend Brian Siskin, who maybe many of you have seen around the office a little bit, kind of a social media marketing guru that we've been learning a lot from. And so every Monday, you're going to get an email in your inbox that's got detailed instructions and a couple posts for you guys to push out on your Instagram. And it should be relatively easy. We're going to send the first one out after the sales meeting today. And so you guys can reply to me or Zach or Sid if there's any questions. We kind of tested it with a small group yesterday, and it seemed to go pretty smoothly. So I don't know, Zach, if we want to go through. Do you have the slide with the kind of instructions? Sure. Sid, do you want to kind of walk us through?
Don't give like 10 seconds.
Okay. Yep. So what it is, 196 exquisite high-rise condominiums on top of the Conrad Hotel. Which you guys, first of all, everybody knows where it is, right? Kind of where Broadwest and, where Broadway and West End kind of converge. Lake Palmer. Lake Palmer, yeah, affectionately known as Lake Palmer for years. And so we hope to begin contracting units the beginning of the year. Really, our target is January 1st. Whether we nail that or not is kind of yet to be determined. We're going to have a sales office, full-blown sales center adjacent to the site that will include a couple kitchens with our various finish packages. There'll be a full master bath. The Conrad Hotel, which will be the first 14 stories of the building, will also have a full-blown hotel room there in our sales office as well. So again, we're hoping to launch that January 1st. One exciting thing that we were able to pull off on this project, which I don't think has ever happened in our market yet. It's okay to say this, I think, but at the time of contract, we're going to be able to pay out half of the commission to you guys. So that's pretty exciting on a project that has a bit of runway. Right now they're under construction. We anticipate topping out around this time next year, and then delivering units the end of 21. So, there can be a long runway, I think, for agents to get excited. And, you go through all the things, and then it's like, I'm going to wait 2 years to get paid. So I think it's an awesome incentive that we're able to pay half of that up front.
And also, just something else that's kind of different about this building, we'll have
we'll have 3-bedroom unit plans in addition to, we'll have 10 penthouses as well, but
standard unit will have a 3-bed, which doesn't really exist in any of the premium towers. And then we'll have great 1-bed plans with half baths and studies. So what we're hoping to do is fill the hole where we've got buyers that really, in theory, need a 2-bed. They're young couples usually. They can't afford $1 million for a 2-bed. And then we'll have opportunities for them to possibly buy a second parking space. So those are both really big voids in the market right now that we think we're going to fill. And we should have attractive pricing relative to what we're delivering. So,
I think as far as the amenities go, they're separate from the hotel. So we get asked that a lot. A little different than kind of how 505 is doing things. This will be a completely different level of finish out than I think our city has ever seen, like 10-inch herringbone laid hardwood floors standard. There's all sorts of extra details in the trim packages. We're working with Sub-Zero and Wolf as potentially being our standard appliance package, so really high level kind of project. The amenities for the condos are on the rooftop, kind of like the Meridian, but we'll have amazing downtown views, infinity edge pool, club room, bar, lounge, golf, fitness center. It's the amenity package is something like we haven't seen yet either. So I'll let Sid talk about go just run through the list of things for the drill Monday. Do you have that slide right?
Yeah, I'm just going to read this because I don't know exactly how it works myself. Yeah, I'll let Cisco do it.
Yeah, hello everyone. Hey, so real quick also, I just want to kind of put a little footnote on, I know we're talking about amenities and infinity pools and all these things, but the real challenge with Broad West in the initial stage is just making people aware of it and where it is and just the general feel of the ambition of the story that's building there. So I want to just sort of impart to people to just be patient as the details come together. And really what we're trying to leverage everybody to do more than anything is to breed excitement and just general awareness. Because if you go out on the street and you walk around, hey, have you heard of Broad West? No. Do you know where Broadway and West End meet? Sometimes they know, but usually they don't. You say Lake Palmer, they always know. So that's kind of what we're up against in the early running, but we wanted to really get a head start because the broader marketing for Broad West is more complex with other entities. It's going to take some time. So what we're really trying to do is just from the residents' standpoint, start to tell that story. So you all are going to be critical to do that. So basically, you're going to get an email. It's going to be very simple. You're going to have, there'll be 2 little video files. They're very small. They're not going to take up your mobile data. 2 very small video files, and they're basically just little vignettes that start to tell the story about the awareness of Broad West. And we're just trying to get people to understand where it is. And then you'll see as the weeks go through and as you get more content from us, how we're starting to build into sort of out of awareness stage marketing and into consideration stage to get people to really start to think about, I should go to the sales center, January 1 or whenever that is. So you're going to get an email. It'll be very simple. You're basically going to have instructions to download the 2 files, and then you basically post them anytime you want, whenever it's easy enough for you to do it. We're not going to try to fix people to a schedule, but sometime within the next week or prior to the next Monday, essentially. Post it on your Instagram, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, wherever. Don't mess with it. Don't, put, I don't know, whatever, Snapchat filters on it or whatever. Just post it, and then ultimately you can say whatever you want to say about it. You can say you're excited about it. That's fine. And then ultimately, what we really want to do is we're trying to create an undercurrent of excitement that Broad West really can sense and feel. So we want to have everybody mention Broad West Nashville, which is their account, that we're working with them on. And then also just the hashtags Broad West Nashville, Nashville Real Estate. Here's the thing, we're not stopping there. I just didn't want to give everybody 50 hashtags or whatever. Just if you can just meet that basic recipe for the first week, we're going to build on this and you're going to get richer content and we're going to start to understand how we're reaching the right people. So this is really important for us to test the personas that we've built for the ideal buyers in the marketplace for this project, which is quite unique. So we're really excited about that. So basically you're going to get the email. You're going to have a couple of attachments, post them, make sure you, at the very least, just make sure you mention Broad West Nashville because I want everybody involved that's running that account to be like, oh, this is way more powerful. The power of Village and 300 plus agents is far more powerful and beneficial than running one isolated channel that nobody actually really pays attention to. But we're going to help them get attention to that. So that's basically it.
Cool. Thank you very much. So, again, the whole idea is to get buyers out of this. Jay Griffin, we tested this with him on another project, and he got over 20 buyers doing it. So, the average sales price in Broadwest is about $900,000. So, if you can get 20 buyers at $900,000 by posting some social media, I'll take it all day long. That's great. So, good work, y'all. All right, quick tip of the week. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but I printed out just an analysis of your business. If you want to look at this and start filling it out, you can go through it and have some quick, it's actually not quick, it's fairly extensive, so it'll take you a little while, but you can start it now and work through it to just to start thinking about how your year was, what you want to do next year. Again, it has a lot of good questions: where my sales came from, where my listings came from, how many listings you went on, what your expenses were this year, how many hours you work per your week. You're an average of blank dollars per hour. That can sometimes scare the hell out of you in a not very good way. And so, anyway, just look at that, and that's it. All right, quick. Alyssa, where are you? Come on up. All right, so Alyssa had a cool story, and I want to just ask you to share it for a second about a past client of hers. Has anybody ever had a past client, and then they helped you buy a house, like you helped them buy a house like 3 or 4 years ago, and then you're driving around or looking online, and you're like, why is it listed for sale? Not with me. And then you feel kind of angry and frustrated and a little bit hurt and maybe mad at yourself and maybe mad at them, and you're not quite sure why, but sometimes there's another story or another side of the story, so you can tell that real quick.
So I just saw out of nowhere that my buyers that I had a few years ago that I thought went really well listed their house with another agent, and I was all like upset, and I was replaying the whole like transaction in my head, like what could have gone wrong. And so I just decided to text them, get it out of my system, and I just said, your house looks great, I hope I could bring a buyer. So I wanted to just like stay on good terms with them. I thought she was like kind of my friend and everything, and I'm nervous, sorry. So she texts back and she's like, oh my gosh, I really wanted to use you guys, but I have a personal thing going in my life and I was too ashamed to like let you know, so we decided to use someone else. So I'm shaking.
So the moral of the story is probably that, like, that's really powerful. So this buyer who she helped buy had something going on in her life, and she was ashamed to even tell Alyssa because she knew Alyssa and was embarrassed by it, and so she just kind of wanted to try to be anonymous and deal with somebody else. And so that's, maybe, who knows, maybe if it doesn't sell with this agent, she might call Alyssa back, or maybe she needs help on the buy side, but it's less about getting the business. And I think that was brave. Obviously, we don't want to reach out and solicit other business, but that's not what she was doing. She was just kind of saying, hey, saw your house online, it looks awesome. It was a compliment, and let her know that she's out there trying to add value and find a buyer. Anything else?
We got lunch later that week and kind of caught up and everything, and so she's still like, I really want to use you in the future, and so we're on good terms.
That's awesome. Otherwise, you could have just kind of checked them off the list and like, never talk about it. Blank again. So, good work. Thanks, Olivia. All right, coming soon. So there are 2 doors open. So there's one today that I'll talk about in a second. Drew Shannon just left to go prepare for it. On tomorrow, on Wednesday, Susan Mills in the Franklin office has one in Green Hills at 11A Biltmore from 11:30 to 1:30. So you get lunch today and lunch tomorrow. So go check it out. That one is a 5-bed, 3.5 bath, 4,500 square feet for $1.1 million. We're just shy of $1.1 million. So, and if y'all haven't met Susan, she's super fun. She's from New Orleans, which I kind of have a soft spot for. All right, quick thing, these are tiny. I think we had a lot going on. So Tony Myers. Anybody can speak for Tony? All right, Tony's got one on 1428 Stoner Ridge Drive in Hermitage and another one in Mount Juliet. The Stoner Ridge Drive is 3335. It was just listed. 2-story all brick, 3-bed, 2.5 home, 4 makes a grand entrance with a beautiful chandelier, palladium window. The in-ground pool, the backyard is surrounded by a privacy fence and stunning landscaping. Nice description, by the way. I like this. The downstairs is complete with a formal dining room, nice sized kitchen, and cozy living room. The upstairs features a meeting room and master suite with 2 walk-in closets located close to the interstate, so a convenient commute to downtown. That's a really good description. Kudos to that. The other one, Regent Park Drive, master suite in the main level, second guest room in the main level, hardwoods. This is a little more expensive, $492. It's going to be coming soon and has a patio with a fire pit. Kristen, where are you? I saw you in here. Maybe not. All right, so Kristen has a Worthing Lofts, number 226, coming up for $289,900. She has another one, 332, 2 Worthing units. It's pretty cool. Recently renovated one for $389,900. So you got $100,000 apart, $289,000 and $389,000. Talk to Kristen if you want a Worthing unit. Steve Rice, you got one on Auburn Lane. Steve, are you here? She's down in Franklin probably. So 3-bed, 2-bath total renovation in Green Hills for $649,000. So $649,000 for 2,700 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath. Maggie, you got one on Copperstone Drive in Clarksville.
Yeah. So this is one of those cool things where I sold Whit Murray's listing. Are you here? Hey. So we're buying Whit Murray's listing, and we're listing this house, getting these people relocated toward Nashville. But this is a gorgeous house, custom built, very European in style, architecture, built in 2015 on Sango, which is the Nashville side of Clarksville. You're not going all the way into Clarksville, which means that's like a 35-minute drive to Nashville. So if these people are relocating and they don't have to be anywhere, they don't mind this commute, there are a lot of those people that are living in Franklin or Nolensville or whatever, this is a great option for them. And then they get a 3,300 square foot home. It's beautiful. And it is 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, gorgeous giant kitchen, chef's kitchen. Let's see, what else? 550-ish. I'm sorry. Yeah, 550-ish. So, and we're looking at the end of October. But if you need to get in and see it early, I'm glad to get you to do that. So, can I go into my other one? So I have another one that's going to go live in about 2 weeks in Lenox Village. It's a single family home. It's really cute, super clean and well maintained. I think a lot of units there are rentals. This has not been a rental. It's been the same family. It's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, plus a beautiful office, fireplace, lots of windows. They had some additional windows added. 2 porches, one off the master and one off the front, and then a big deck, separate 2-car garage with alley access. And it's just really nice, clean house, $355 in about 2 weeks.
Awesome. All right, Drew Shannon has a double broker open today. She just went for it again, 914A Bradford. This is going on starting in about an hour, or from 11 to 1, so 30 minutes. If your tummy's wrong, 30 minutes. 914A Bradford. So I just talked like a bad to my kids' tummy. 11 and 4 Lawrence Avenue. Both are one's 4 beds, one's 3 beds, but both cool houses. So go check those out. They're on. I printed out, so they're on your sheets there. The only one that didn't get on some printouts was Maggie. She submitted that last one right before I printed it out, but it's on some of yours and some others. No. Everybody else who we have. Laura already had one. There you are.
So I have 2 listings going live this week. One is in Cambridge Downs, which is right off of Old Hickory and Hillsborough Road. So it's classed as Brentwood by address, but it's really Forest Hills and just a great location. I'm actually going to have a broker open there next Tuesday between 4 and 7. I will feed all of you really well if you will come, plus have some good drinks also. And so we'll have some e-blasts going out for that, but that's next Tuesday the 15th from 4 to 7. And then for any of you that have water-loving clients, I have a great new listing in Rock Island that's going to hit later this week as well. Thanks.
Anybody else?
I have a coming soon in Dixon. It's a 3-bedroom. It's weird. I don't want to say it, but here it goes. All right, so it has 3 bedrooms upstairs on the 2nd and 3rd level, and then 2 bedrooms, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and then there's a completely separate. What it was a duplex at one time. So they've taken the upper half, but 2 bedrooms on the 1st level, 1 bedroom on the 2nd level, and the completely downstairs is completely separate living area. It could be completely for income, whatever someone would use that for. Really great space. That's 101 Oak Avenue in Dixon, Tennessee. Probably looking around 320-ish. So it's pretty close to downtown. You could almost walk downtown if you wanted to. And then I have another one that's coming, and that'll be live probably Friday, and we're getting pictures taken. And then I have another one that is 101 Robertson Street in McEwen, Tennessee, and that is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Also has a 2-car garage in the basement. Beautiful little spot, pretty, within 20 minutes to the river. So it's a neat little place, and that'll be for around 137, somewhere around there. And we'll probably go live with that sometime next week. Thanks.
Anybody else? All right. If you want a massage, $20 for 20 minutes. You got one more?
I got one.
Just contemplate that massage all the time.
It's 538 High Crest, so that's a Whispering Hills or Creek Hall adjacent. It's 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, $295, and we'll go live today.
So I'm trying to find out from Rachel where the massage is located, but it might be in the front, in the front.
Yes.
Front conference room. Just take a right. It's awesome. Friend of Rachel's, $20 plus a tip for 20 minutes. She's really good. So she'll be here till noon.
Did you get one last week?
I got one last week. Y'all, this was really cool. So Rachel keeps saying, you gotta get a massage, get a massage, get a massage in like, I don't know, 15 years. And so finally I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I go pay the massage therapist, and she goes, you're already taken care of. You must be a good friend of Rachel. And I was, come on. Rachel. Just the best. Unreal. So, she's playing a long game. It's good. All right, Colin, don't get sued real quick. All right, in 60 seconds, what do you got? What are your takeaways from today? What are the rates? 30-year fixed, 3.75, 15-year fixed, 3.25. All right, what is a big packet? What's most of the weight your packet you're holding? Business plan. You should look at it. What was your takeaway from Hunter? 90% of millionaires are real estate. Got there by real estate. Anything else? All right, Colin, what do you got?
We have a bonus co-presenter today. John Flanagan is actually.
John Flanagan. All right, so stick around 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Colin's going to start. Thank you all.